Welcome back to the Telescope Maker's Workshop. Thank you for joining me. As I continue discussing our grinding stand that I've called the Parker barrel, named after Dick Parker, we now have 8 blocks that are going to be used as attachment points to attach the legs to the base and to the top of the table. In fact, I'm on a Parker barrel right now. Everything's on it, and it's pretty solid. Incredibly solid because of its truss design. I've cut these out in our last episode and cut them down just to the right length, 6 inches long. What I'm going to have to do is cut angles 22.5 degrees so that the total angle is 45 degrees in each of them. There will be a total of 16 cuts of 22.5 degrees. And if you do the math and multiply 22.5 times 16, you'll find out that that comes to 360 degrees, which is one complete circle. Right now, I'm just going to knock some of the roughness off the edge of the blocks for no other reason than just so that I have something to work with that's relatively comfortable. Most of the block is going to end up as waste, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time sanding it down just right now. And I know watching somebody sand a block down is about as interesting as watching mud dry or watching the lights on a refinery blink on and off if you're in Artesia, New Mexico, as I once was many, many years ago. So I'm just going to quickly knock down a little bit of the excess material so that when I'm handling these down the road, I won't get any splinters. Just to clean them up a bit, nothing too fancy. In a moment, we're going to cut these to a 22.5 degree. I just want to get any excess material that's likely to fall off out of there. I'm probably going to end up cutting the rougher sides off. You can see this particular piece is sort of rough right in here. I'll probably just end up cutting it so that that piece doesn't exist anymore in the work. I'll sand this down a lot better when I'm done cutting the angles. Right now I just want to knock it down a little bit. Again, I'm no woodworker. My name's not Norm Fulham. Norm is a tremendous telescope maker from Canada. He makes wonderful wood telescopes. I went to the Northeast Astronomical Forum last weekend for 2012. Norman had been there. His company was there. He wasn't there. He was busy figuring a 61.5 inch mirror. He also has a 50 inch weighting and I think 2 36 inches weighting cellular mirrors. Norm's a very talented mirror maker. He's also an incredible carpenter, furniture maker. He uses Cambodian woods, all sorts of exotic woods. He makes incredibly beautiful telescopes with them. But we're not making a telescope right now. We're just making a grinding stand, or a cake decorating stand for that matter. Or something for a number of other uses. Whatever you choose to use it for is absolutely fine. I was at NEAF, Northeast Astronomical Forum, and I ran into a few people that had seen my videos, had a couple of "it's you" moments, or "it's him" moments, people whispering. Kind of surprises me, although I notice I've had over 250,000 views on my videos so far from all parts of the world. I was quite impressed to see that some people were viewing them from Vietnam. Bulgaria, Romania. I know there's a lot of Romanians who make telescopes. So if you're one of our Romanian friends, welcome to the world of amateur telescope making. Actually, you're probably a little bit more advanced than I am. A lot of folks from South Africa also. I was talking with Richard Berry. Richard was invited to go to South Africa to lecture, and he left very impressed, as far as I can tell from reading his emails, with the South African group that's making telescopes. Of course, we also have our Iranian friends, friends in the Persian world, friends in the Arab world. A lot of folks from Saudi Arabia make telescopes. Interestingly, we have people from almost all over the world making telescopes. But the only continent I haven't heard from is, guess what? Antarctica. And maybe they're watching and maybe it's just not being reported on YouTube. If you're in Antarctica, drop me a line, drop me a comment if you're watching from Antarctica. I'd be impressed to hear. Although, if you're down there, it's hard to run over to the nearest Home Depot to pick up materials you need. Alright, and that's just some rough sanding. Next step I'm going to take is we're going to move over to the saw and set the saw up for our 22.5 degree angles. But I guess before I do that, what I really want to do is just measure and mark at 3 inches so I'll know where I am cutting. I use a square like this to measure. I'm going to measure it down to 6 inches and mark at 3. There's 1. This is as critical of a measurement as you're going to see on this project, and frankly this measurement isn't all that critical either. Just gives me a point to line up my miter saw. Wow, this is the lousy one. Okay, I want to make sure that I line this up so I'm cutting the lousy side off. You can see, measure with a micrometer, mark with a crayon, and cut with an axe. I'm marking with a permanent marker that's a fine point, but it's still not all that fine. Not too terribly concerned. And even if your angle is off a bit, it's not going to really impair because the wooden legs twist a little bit. But if you're doing a job, do it to the best of your ability, and that's what I'm going to do. Again, I don't make my living with my hands. I'm not the world's greatest mechanic. I make a very good optic, though, I must say. But when it comes to woodworking, try as I might, it's not as good as somebody who does it for a living. And frankly, when it comes to optics, try as I might, and I work very hard to make a good optic, and I'm very proud of my optics, it's not as good as a Phil Rounsville or a Paul Vallely who do it for a living and have optics in space. The guys who have optics in space are really the guys that have the true talent.